The multiverse has ended, and in its death, Battleworld was okay, no one reads this. Shamble. Day one. Doomstat. God, Doom has lost dominion over Battleworld. Starting. Today is the day to ask questions. Beyond these first results, you will be abandoned to your own defenses. Can Doom see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Doom is eating a bowl now to determine the answer. For now, let's assume it's sprinkled with cinnamon, sugar, and Doom. Who is Jon Snow's mother? Doom is Jon Snow's mother. Doom, can you love? Not as well as I can hate. Doom, how much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Less than Doom. Now we've got some stuff in here about why can't I quote. Different browsers. Is it on your phone? Is it on that typical day one? I don't know what's going on. And Virgil GIFs. Day 2 begins. Death has happened. People have got results. And they're... Day 1 Doom Report. Village Lynch. Jenny. Failed. Mafia Lynch. Spider-Gwen from the Spider-Verse. ISIS. Gun went off. King Magnus. House of M.
What?
Trapped in Limbo. Apocalypse from Age of Apocalypse. Out of play. Public reveal. Long odds. Iron Man 616 Universe. Billionaire. Members only club. While actively playing as 616 Stark, you must submit a player name to me to recruit their team of characters to your club. Be alert, there are characters and players who are unrecruitable. You cannot recruit while playing other Starks. Personal results coming forthwith. A relatively damage-free day means that the battle will continue in Doomstat. Nothing has changed. Carry on, Doomlings. So, players and characters are called out as unrecruitable, which to me is interesting because it means that he might submit on someone, not be able to get them, only because of the character they're on. But could later, or could have earlier. That's kind of interesting. That's just interesting on how that might play out. My passive power is that I am notified of recruitments. There were 2 last night. Ooh. Lots of oddities to look into. Why the failed lynch? What Mafia would go after Draina day 1? Who shot and what does it say about their allegiance? Smart people talk. Marvel is annoying as fuck. Oh. Quote from Taste?
People call me Taste.
Fuck it, we're meant to share information. This set of powers belongs to one person. I was not given the character or location associated with them. I read it as a Mafia or troublesome, all the way up to the last sentence, which still isn't clearing in any way, not in this game. Up to you all if I detail who it was. As the domain's Baron can choose to make the first village lynch on them turn into an assassination on someone else. Passive, that anyone that votes for them in the village lynch becomes powerless the next day. Fuck. Odd day blocker, even day delay by 1 day. Even days, Spidey sense prevents from being lynched. And odd days, make the target immune to all powers. Even days, guard a player with lightning, making any attacker on that target powerless the next day. Tasty. Ooh. The fuck is this limbo shit? Ha! I never read Marvel. If that is a normal villager, I'll eat a hat. For what it's worth, I got a result that Moses is a village last night. I submitted Nossing Lebowski. I'm also for winning, but I'm also for keeping a talkative, active, fun players around. A quiet game is a boring, stupid game. Ooh, lesson time. As a villager, your 2 jobs are 1. Help locate and kill Mafia. And 2, convince other villagers not to waste precious resources on you, be it a check, reveal, lynch, etc. Easy peasy. Long odds revealing some information. Let's take a closer look. I can't poop. And that's a direct quote. I wonder how mad Doom would be if we just said screw it and played with Celtic's assignments instead. Doom cares not how stupidly you choose to act. You will all die eventually. I think we should lynch whoever DJ found. That power set was bonkers. Speaking done true. Agreed, DJ should name the player, not seeing any benefit to keeping it hidden at this point. Thirded, like I said before, the lynch immunities and then bad things happening to the lynch voters as a result are bad news, and we should know who it is, lest we walk right into that. Name and shame. Ha ha ha. It was... She died as King Magnus, so that fits the Baron thing in my opinion. I guess this is further evidence that some character sets don't have a link, because I don't see how Magneto has any special relation to the Spideys, at least not in relation to Battleworld. Then again, it's Marvel, who fucking knows. Appears it was a good thing she was shot, since a lynch wouldn't have worked. If the power cycles as listed, she can delay someone today. Powers say she can't be lynched on an even day. Anyone care to guess what type of day number 2 is? Well, hello? That would be the 3rd power, and as she was likely on the 2nd power set, not applicable. Bamboozled! Anyone care to guess what type of number 2 is? Prime. Ha! I also thought it was an anus. No context. A heart-shaped anus. Still no context. For you. I mean, I read, but I'm not giving it to you. Has Tim Dog been in here yet? Has Tim Dog ever been in here? Okay, I won't be back until later to blah, blah, blah. When I die today, or again, could be tomorrow, but it seems better to get it out of the way. Either all powers or all guards specifically will fail. I can pick, or if I don't, it's 50-50. Thoughts, better way to work this. I have no idea, honestly, but again, it affects all this planning in addition to affecting whoever else is plotting out there. There was a village lynch in the day 1 results. I take that to mean there's a village. Simple observations like this often get lost or not even brought up. And I know that that's going to come up later in the game, where there were pieces that could have been put together that weren't because time or whatever. But simple things matter. Ah, he gets it. David K with another piece of information. Schimmel will be the public reveal for day 2. My active power is each day you can choose one player. That player's current character, allegiance, and power are publicly revealed in the end of day write-up. And I chose Schimmel. So current allegiance, that could point, with us being the ignorant players here, that allegiance can change per character, which is doable. It's tough, but doable. But also the whole current allegiance thing, we know that recruiting is in play, so it could be that you're not going to get their assignment that shows that they were a villager, which I don't even think was a thing in this game anyway. But their assignment changes when they're recruited in a way. So that's probably why it's worded that way. Day 3 begins. Day 2 Doom Report. Village lynch. Relate? I don't know that word. Scott Summers, Age of Apocalypse. Mafia lynch. Danny Ketch, Ghost Racers, Colosseum, Will. So, Ghost Racers group, Colosseum area or realm, I don't know. Gun, Sue Richards, Doomstat, Kelly, Self-Destruct, Iceman, Age of Apocalypse, Celtic, Resurrected. Spider-Gwen has been returned to the game for 1 day. She can post user powers and be targeted with powers. She will return to the grave at the end of the day. Trapped in Limbo. Punisher, 1610, out of play. Public reveal. Albert, Cameron Hodge, from Extopia. Transmute virus. You're a scavenger. Beginning day 2, you'll automatically receive a power from the dead. Twice in the game, you can pick a specific target from any previous death to take their power. Public reveal. Schimmel. Independent. Punisher. 1610. The aforementioned out of play. Each day, you've got a series of 4 traps you can set around your target. Each one has a unique effect. You cannot use the same trap twice in a row, and you may only pick each target once. Once you set the trap, it stays with them until it's set off or the character, not player, dies. Blocker trap. If your target uses any kind of attack, your target will be blocked the next day. Doesn't stop the attack, just blocks them the next day, whatever power that might have been. Guard trap. If anyone attempts to guard your target, the guard will become an attack instead. Attack trap. If your target attacks someone, their target will be blocked instead. Vig trap. If anyone attempts to attack your target will be blocked instead. The first time anyone attacks you, they'll get caught in a trap of your own and be publicly revealed instead. After that, it will take 4 kills to finish you. Each attack will list your name and failed with no character. So, David said he was going to publicly reveal Schimmel, not considered an attack, so that's why David was not revealed. Doom has grown tired of the destruction in his home domain. This battle will continue in the domain of Apocalypse. All characters who call this domain home will receive a second use of their power today. All hail Doom. I say we kitchen sink the Schimmel. The power set I found, this is the Limbo Maker. The target leaves indefinitely and only gets released when Limbo Maker dies. If the Limbo player loses the rest of their characters, that player is vanquished. That right there makes me think we can mess around with the people in Limbo. Once may jump forward 1 to 3 days in game time with the normal caveats that entails. That normally means things like you can't help your team win by coming back at a later day to affect the numbers, that sort of stuff. Odd days may scan 5 players. If items are found, can steal one on the following day. This player can also use items, so I guess you can have one but not be able to use it. Seems odd to note this otherwise. This player currently has an item detail I will hold on to, might be important to not reveal. An item that can either steal a character from another player or bring a new character into this player's roster. From outside the game, currently not in play, ? May choose a player to steal their current character from them, becoming that character, but probably retaining the rest of this mess. Can do this again 3 days later, no limit. So, this person can send someone away forever, become completely invulnerable, steal items, use items, has an item that can steal and make a character, and can just innately steal one every 3 days, holy balls. And there are items, and I didn't get a power ring. Isis, cry with me. So that said, with those results, it seems like this is a powerful set, but at the same time, maybe it's kind of intended to be used against another independent or an independent in the first place, which is fine, but especially Village Mafia, it doesn't matter. If you're not also aiming them in the right direction, and you're not, this power set is scanning bunches of players. It's a little odd, but it's a good set. It's a good, interesting set. Won recruitment last night. As I was reading through day 2 and working on the tally, I spotted Tim saying that Spinal voted for himself on day 1 and day 2 as some kind of power-up, so I decided to investigate for myself. Spinal only voted for himself on day 1, which isn't all that abnormal, and he voted for LO on day 2. So, Tim, that's a pretty shady thing to say without any kind of backup. Accusations being tossed. So actually, thanks, stupid ass Dumbovig. So this post is Long Odds claiming he only did a recruit day 1. What's to stop Mafia from killing off one of their own players if they have a weak power set to see what they got next? Ooh. Interesting in a Mafia game where you have multiple lives and you don't get to choose to move to the next one. That's something new. I'm a DC guy. Virgil with the big data analytical post. Let's take a closer look. I would lynch Schimmel because I shit on the birthday cake. And that's a direct quote. If Shim's not an A Punisher anymore, that may be... Okay, so what they're talking about there's some discussion in the thread where the results were updated after the fact, which is always an unfortunate thing that has to happen when it happens. And the A isn't there anymore, implying that whereas a lot of people in their assignments have their A, if that's not there anymore, maybe this is the only character, therefore we've got Lorraine saying that may mean that we're lynching his only character, which is currently out of play. But to be perfectly honest, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And that's exactly what these games are. And I think that a lot of people get angry when they don't know exactly what they're supposed to do. And the game that's about figuring shit out. Why did you join? I don't get it. Not anything against Lorraine or anybody else, but it's just the discovery in video games is always one of the highlights for me. It doesn't need to be just video games. It could be other games like this too. Sometimes just trying something to see if it works is what you got to do. There isn't any sort of an onus on the game runner's part to just lay out the roadmap for you. In fact, if this was the same as any other game, you could argue that the game runner didn't really come up with anything new for you to play. So, if Mafia were down to a formula and became basically a solved game, that would be a problem. For those that missed it before his edits, he outright admitted the indie status and said that he wouldn't fight it. Then he claimed to want to work with the village, but included a veiled threat that he would look elsewhere if we continue in this kitchen sink path. So this is another one of those things where what do you do as the game runner when someone, two different people in two different ways, you could argue kind of broke the spirit of the game. You have a person who made game-related posts while out of play, and then after being told to edit it away, and not in a public fashion, their post content is then revealed by someone else, and that's just one of those things. I mean, if you put every single situation that has ever existed, one, you're going to miss new ones, but two, then your rules are going to be like this, which is going to invite more people to just not fucking read them and sign up, or not read all of them. And even then, if you want to start to put the spirit of the game into the rules, then does that take it away? So, and you also can't put a generic term like, don't do anything that I don't want you to do. Worded however you want. Just because it, then anybody can think, oh, well, for the sake of what I want to do, I'm going to just do this and say that I didn't think that that was wrong. So the whole managing these situations is just part of being a game runner. So shit like this is going to come up. Ha, shim splat. Taste says, Bello is our resident Hermes Conrad. And then Lorene, we have a grade 36 bureaucrat. Oh, Lorene, you so awesome. Everybody's got wives, lives, and girlfriends. Got it. But only one of each, kitty. I have hiccups like an idiot. Day 4 begins. Day 3 Doom Report. Did you not believe there would be consequences for extinguishing Doom's only love? It was a noble effort in your attempt to reverse the folly below, but Doom recognizes a pale reflection of my wife when I see one. See now the wrath and power of Doom. Your lynch has failed. Suck it. Village lynch. Long odd. Failed. Mafia lynch. Failed. Gun. Hank Pym. Deadlands. Kind of blue. Guarded. Gun. Throg. Doomguard. Taste. Gun. Failed. Bang Bang. Failed. Grudge match. Maestro against... Well, Maestro wins by forfeit. Returned to the grave. Spider-Gwen. Resurrected. Sue Storm has returned to the game for one day and all that again. Trapped in limbo. Mr. Sinister from Bar Sinister. Out of play. Public reveal. Jenny. Thor. Jane Foster. Doomguard. First strike. You are the leader of the Thor's Battleworld's peacekeeping police force, and as such, you have your own board to coordinate with other Thors. Each day, you may send me a target to scan for fellow members of the Thor Corps. If you find one, they will be recruited the next day. Some will be easier to find than others. I wonder what that means. And I've lost my place. If a player's Thor dies before they're recruited, you will not be able to add them to your board. And the same results where a Thor died. Once recruited, the player's remaining characters are at your disposal. Once you've recruited 2 Thors, you may instead choose to begin lynching as a group. The lynch is your power and tied to your character. You cannot be killed until you begin using this power. Public reveal. Duplicate. Today, you fight in limbo, where up is down and black is white. Not everything is as it seems here. Use caution as you proceed with your plans. So one more little snippet. The player's remaining characters are at your disposal. That has some... could be this way, could be that way about it, but I'm sure it was probably handled. I don't support anything. I just won't be led to believe that the Fruity Rich Man Club is any more malevolent than the Hammer Club when all I know about either one is that they recruit people. Is he a Thor? Been acting as if he was, no confirmation, but he pretty much used verily and shit in his posts. John sent me an updated result, said he missed a vote. So there was one non-villager that voted for Long Odds last night. Give me a few and I'll go back for a tally. Interesting. Also, why the hell was blue guarded? Like, why would anyone be guarding blue right now? Agreed. That kind of stood out. 0 recruitments occurred last night. Albert, Star Kitty, myself, and the first person to come to my board all complained that their quote button was gone. I think this was a multi-board security thing that went wrong, and those people should be looked at closer. So this goes back to the whole spirit thing. At least when you call it out in the game thread overtly, people were having problems. People were posting about their problems in the game thread. So yes, it is technically fair game, but this is just another one of those, do you allow, I think ethics is probably a strong word here, but do you allow that outside of the game control or situations or stuff like that be used inside the game? Do you bring that stuff into the game and use that as a way to try and sniff out baddies or other things like that going on? And you can argue things like the who's online indicator being there at all, or at least not being controlled, where you could permanently put all of the players into the game using admin powers into a state of playing fuckers and then just leave them there. So it always looks like they're online. So this is just another one of those do you or don't you type things. And I'm of the camp that no, but I'm very heavily into the whole spirit of the game type, whereas there are others who the other end is the fucking Batman of the world who want to use every little tool at their disposal to find their enemies. And there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just a spectrum thing. Who the hell would guard blue? No villager, that's for sure. He's on some team, Jenny's or otherwise, and they need to preserve him for numbers or for powers. Agreed. Just an out of the blue pun guard on blue. It's just no one was calling for him. No one knew the shot was going that way. So therefore, how would anybody know to guard that person who wasn't particularly active and you know, making themselves a target? So Taste got results. I did get my results last night. I only got power sets, but it'd be hard to come up with one that rings villager more than this one. Their secret is safe with me. Their set is presented in 4 parts like the rest were, but never with letters. So that was Taste kind of trying to add in the whole, I didn't get letters when I was getting everybody else's assignments, and so should we be considering the letters in our discussion? This suggests to me that the different characters' powers, their first and third sets, are daily and powerful, an argument for this being true. However, other things suggest they might be all present at once. Their second one specifically mentions that the player has to submit a player name with their power submission starting from day one. The fourth one is a once per game power that would kind of suck to have to sit on a fourth character until a good time to use it. I'm not sure what to think about it. Bello's power set made me think he had access to all of his as well, even though most of us don't appear to. Today ends tomorrow, right? Some things only make sense in Mafia. Excellent summary post from Shaika. Let's take a closer look, shall we? So, why should Thor literally fuck me? And that's a direct quote. I once invented a shot called the anal bead. I wound up in the hospital that night. Go on. 5 shots, Tim Jeebus. I'm about over my current power, so I hope you send one my way. Along those lines, I put out a hint a few days ago that baddies could be good and vice versa. I still have no idea of my allegiance. It doesn't say in my info. That said, my current character is Thanos. So I think the idea of using our past characters in other games is a good notion. I forgot who brought that up. In any case, I've been the one resurrecting characters. It is a resurrection for characters who have died and not people. It's why I was going out of my way to converse with Lorene when she was doubting the resurrection, and it's why I chose Draina, because I knew that there was a high possibility, as the Mafia Lynch, that Draina wasn't bad straight out of the gate. Decent call. As for my actions, I couldn't do anything on day 1 because, obviously, no one died. But I resurrected Draina and Spider-Gwen on day 2, and then Kelly and Sue Storm on day 3. I'm not with the lore of the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, as much as I am, say, the X-Men or Infinity War style stuff. I have no clue about her passive failing of Lynch's when I resurrected her, or the relationship between her and Doom. However, as I said before, when Sue Storm goes back to the grave, that's effectively 2 Lynches that should be prevented if Jenny decides to invoke hers. And there are lots of power and other similarities to Xenon games here so far. I noticed that too, and I just took it as a compliment. Ooh, tasty Deej. I'll take it. I can view all the characters on a player's team today. No idea what that means in regards to what will happen today with Limbo. So we've already seen someone who's looking for players who are or will be a Thor, and players that were a Thor are not useful to them. So this is a good complement power to other powers. But I don't know how useful this is on its own. Now, it is an information gathering power. Useful, but on its own, though, in this game, if that's the only power set, even if your power set kind of evolves and your next ones could use that information, you're kind of expected to share it with everyone anyway. And so that's not necessarily a benefit to you. It's a benefit to anybody that has those later powers. So this is an interesting thing to have in a game like this, especially when you are not allowed to jump around between your power sets. This game should have lots of guns. That means the Mafia can have some. So, Tim Dog, when it became apparent that I was being a bit useful, why didn't you make it known that I was going to be shot yesterday so that someone might do their best to prevent it? Because now I don't get to throg around. Point? Since the power was sent in on day 1, I don't think blocked on day whatever, guarded against maybe. I was shooting blind, what can I say? I guess your second power was not as good. So that's the thing. You may not have thought that it could have been guarded, but if you put that information out there, then the player with the guard could take the shot, or the unshot, as you may say.
Day 5 begins!
Day 4 Doom Report. Welcome to Limbo, where up is down on the player list, you fools. Village Lynch. Stormbreaker Ray from Doomguard, Canuck. Mafia Lynch. Deadpool 616, played by Deadpool. Gun, Old Man Logan. Romer from Beep. Public reveal. Iron Man 1610, members only club. Genius. Using Jarvis can learn information about other players. Each day you will receive some fact about a player in the game for as long as you are alive. Public reveal. God Emperor Doom, the throne of Castle Doomstadt. Malevolent benevolence. For your insolence, I should put you in other limbo permanently. Instead, I will entertain your indiscretion and allow some small secret about the game. There are items in this game. Some players know that they possess them. Some are not aware of the treasures they carry. Some are looking for them. Most are not. Those who plot against Doom are destined to meet their own. This has been far too cordial an affair. Doom will never sleep again, and nothing will ever be all new nor all different if progress is not made. Today, there will be blood as we enter the Colosseum. Doom is appointing 2 team captains, Maestro from Battleworld and Thanos from Cabal 616. Each of you will submit a team of 5 competitors to engage in a death match. Consider carefully. Each player will have a 50-50 chance of survival. The Village Voice may make its suggestions heard by posting bold red names for you to consider. Once you have a team assembled, post your final list with the header Death Match Competitors. Your fates are in their hands. So I'm going to go back to that public reveal of God Emperor, blah, blah, blah. Interesting. The players are going to catch on. I don't think I even caught on, really. But that's fun, where a player tries to bring the game runner into it. He played along. Strict set of the rules. The game runner is not a player. A game runner's assistant is not a player. So would have just counted as a non-submission or a... This is fun. He took the opportunity to provide more information to the players, since he's not doing write-ups. He wasn't doing story-filled write-ups, so he wasn't able to pass off sort of, mechanic-laden flavor to the players in that way. And so he went ahead and entertained us, and this was really neat. This was good stuff. One recruitment occurred last night. Recruitments are a subject on their own, aren't they? We'll have to come back to that. Shit. That's a direct quote. I DJ's Throg Power last night and pointed it at Tim Dog, but I did not get a result. I PM'd to Doom and was told I was given the info I was supposed to be given. Don't know if I was blocked, Tim Dog can't be seen, or if it had something to do with Limbo. The up-down thing would have made it Schimmel, which makes sense. He targeted an out-of-play player, even though we were in Limbo. Out-of-play was still out of play, so that makes sense. I knew something was nagging me about what I read earlier. I found it. Doom. Particular wording. Consider carefully. Your fates are in their hands. I think it's 5-on-5, and the team captain of the losing team pays the ultimate price, not the individual competitors. Long odds. Why else would they have to consider carefully? What difference would winning or losing make to them, the captains? If it was the players that were losing it. Long odds with some thinkaging. Oh, but also that. Each player will have a 50-50 chance of... Yeah. Yes, when I was Beta Ray Bill, I was recruited to the Thors. Dun, dun, dun. I do have a question for you, since you're being transparent too. Your person who you recruited, did they need to be from your universe too? Why are you assuming I'm successful? Are you just giving me credit for other recruitments that haven't been you? Because that would be incorrect. I'll answer in full when I have a bit more time. You've either recruited or you haven't. You could just start with that. It seems unlikely for someone who has a recruitment to not have used it once in 5 days. There be sense in this post. Has Bello been around? No, he fucking hasn't. Fucking quiet. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I want to release the end. Plus, it's probably driving Schimmel crazy. No shit. Lots of Jenny LO back and forth because recruiters. Would anyone mind explaining the Bello Schimmel Limbo situation? Is it Bello's choice to release him? Since this has been asked numerous times and you guys are going off my interpretation instead of an actual reveal, I'll go, and that's the whole Mafia thing of don't quote your private messages, especially from the game runner. There is no mention of releasing a player from Limbo in the assignment. Limbo is also noticeably absent from the rest of the power sets. There is also no mention of a frequency of use, but a character was sent into Limbo each of the first 3 days. Bello did not lose a character on day 3, so the fact that there was not another on day 4 must have been full of inactivity, not just here in the thread. That, and I still think the assignment reads as if he's one big character with 4 powers. There was a grudge match in the day 3 results with wonky results. It involves Spinal as Maestro, as well with no opponent. This new team thing is called a death match and is obviously different, but I don't remember anyone explaining the weird grudge match thing. Anyone? Jenny, I don't have your assignment. My first character was Thor-ish from Doomguard, but notably not Asgardian. But my second definitely isn't. Does your power seem worded in a way that a person with only dead Thors could still be recruited? This is taste not reading shit, because no, that cannot happen. And I thought your 2 recruits were it, and now you've moved to your other power phase a kill. Am I No, also not remembering right. They can move on. Let's clear something up for everyone. We're pretty nitpicky about wording in this game. I'd like to relax that a bit, at least for one point I remember someone talking about, based on one of my results. The words roster and team are used to refer to the same thing in the same sentence. Just a little thing, but little things matter sometimes. And that has to do with one of the power sets that was that Taze received. Yeah. This game is best when Elo and John are both mad. I disagree. I think I like them happy. But also that goes into the whole discussion that we can get into later on, but it has to do with I want the game to be about the game. There are people who want it to just be about the players because that's where they're getting their fun out of it, their enjoyment. They just want a game with friends. And there was no game that was all friends. There was no game that was all want to be Batman. So it's just different people getting different sources of enjoyment out of the same thing that we're doing. And the only thing that we can seem to agree on is quiets suck ass. So Stu did this before, this sort of a multi-post big information dump thing, and I just didn't see anything in that post that I wanted to point out. But I like these. I used to do them, but this is good stuff. In this one, though, I wanted to talk about the character list just because he's trying to help out someone who has a power where they need to know the character that they're looking for, and so they have to keep submitting that. And so this is just a helpful thing from someone who knows that stuff to just give characters to look for. Memories. So Jenny, I'm not going to say you're remembering wrong, but I think that you missed the intention that Virgil and I had way back when. His game was so out of whack that he wasn't even trying to save it. He was actually trying to destroy it. So I was like, hey, let's do it this way. Let's do it in a way that we never get the chance to before in a proper game. But since we're actually trying to blow this fucker up, just let me go back up there with all the shit that I know about and see if I can do it. I wanted to slow roast it, though. I wanted to do it over a couple days. And so that's why it went on longer than what other people were wanting. So that was unfortunate. The game ended terribly. No one wants that. Hey, dummies, if you kill me, you bring back the nearly unkillable independent. So, this appears to have been a weird call on the game runner's part. I saw Bello's power. There was no sort of a what-if scenario in there of what if that player only has one character left, whether because they had all of their others either killed or stolen from them, or they were someone who started the game with only one character, like Schimmel did, which was proven to us when he basically had to go mute after being put in limbo. So I feel like that was a miss on John's part, but not. he had so much shit to do. He had more going on in this game than any game runner had ever. So thinking about all the little fringe situations for each power set that you come up with is a bit much to ask. So this one was a little weird. He could have just, when you're presented with a situation that you didn't think about, you gotta, all the different things that you can use to influence your decision, all the things to weigh. And so he could have simply told Bello that it failed, or told him nothing, either way, and just let it fail. But this is just one of those really weird situations where all of these different powers and mechanics interacting is a really difficult thing for a game runner to manage. Here's what I think. We let Bello live till the end, then he skips ahead 3 days and definitely lives or wins. It's the Hail Mary of Mafia. I didn't detail the caveats I mentioned, but this not working is one of them. And that was what I had talked about earlier. The fact that Bello wouldn't disclose this himself and continues to fight the plan suggests Bello was dirty. I was only pushing to kill his Limbo character, but now I'm thinking he needs to be vanquished. I'm working on it, sorry. My geek self was writing in WoW. Our God Doom is a benevolent God Doom. That's what they taught me in Doomsday School. Ah, funny. Day 6 begins. Day 5 Doom Report. All else stands still while the champions are determined in the Colosseum. Deathmatch number 1. Maestro from Battleworld against Thanos. Starbuck. Maestro wins. Wolverine against Thor. Thor wins. Namor against Hank Pym. Hank Pym wins. Iron Man against Quicksilver. Iron Man wins. Spider-Man India against Madeline Pryor. Madeline Pryor wins. Maestro's team 2. Thanos' team 3. Doom was entertained briefly. Then he recalled what difficult labor it is being God. Maestro, you must be so disappointed. Though you bested your competitor's team captain, her overall roster of competitors was better suited to the Colosseum. The players receiving characters back from Limbo may switch between current or returned characters at will. Only one power per night. Don't forget to be explicit with Doom about the power you are using. A lot of shit changed today. Now for other things. Village Lynch. Magic from Inferno. Don Bello. Mafia Lynch. Doug Ramsey. From Cypher Age of Apocalypse? Or is it Cypher from Age? I don't know. David K. Gunn. Arno Stark. Armor Wars. Starbuck. Trapped in Limbo. Peter Rasputin. Uyoff. I don't know what that is. Charged Deck. Kang the Conqueror. The Wall. Don Bello. Charged Deck makes me think Gambit, but why wouldn't that just be another gun? Limbo has been destroyed. All characters previously held there are now released. Even the Russian mutant. The one that was just put there. Public reveal. Targeted. Public reveal. Beep. Nighthawk, Squadron Supreme. The Scum Trail. Pick a target each day and make them wet their pants. Also, they'll tell you who they targeted that day in the public results. For every non-villager that dies, you'll earn a check to be used the next day. If you check a villager, you can protect them from one attack the next day. Kind of screams villager, huh? Public reveal. Star Kitty. Triage. Extopia. Helping heal. Each day you may heal an injured player. Once you've healed someone, you may target them anytime after to check either their power, affiliation, or character list. So that's sort of a weak until good, but this is day 5 results, and we haven't seen much in the way of injured, have we? Doom enjoyed the day. Let us remain in the Colosseum, and let us make things even more interesting. Doom is appointing 2 new team captains. President Tony Stark of Civil War and Thor, Jane Foster from Doomguard. Each of you will submit a team of 5 competitors to engage in a deathmatch. Consider carefully, blah, 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 blah. You may not submit yourselves, because only the captain whose team wins more battles will survive the day. Good idea, you guys. Pizza. Yep. I didn't even bother reading the last 2 days. My position stands the same. Kill me completely sooner, and I will offer my help to anyone. My win condition is to be alive in the last 6 players or 12 characters, so it's nowhere near that point yet. Getting revealed early, it kind of sucks. One recruitment took place last night. Didn't Doom say that anyone in the deathmatch would be blocked? So that recruitment was neither Jenny or Long Odds. That's how I recall it. No power could be used by or affect anyone involved in the deathmatch. Only Tim's pre-launched assault from days ago was unaffected. Interesting. Doom made it sound yesterday like for those in the grudge matches are basically traditional out of play where they can't be targeted or use powers, hence why wasn't able to get his result on blue. It also blocks him from doing any damage and takes away his defenses, which doesn't matter when no one can target and do anything to him. Also, this is the power attached to Star-Lord. Will inherit power from the character lynched by the village the night before he is awakened. So we need to decide if there is a power in the game that we want and lynch that person. What if the person who just became Star-Lord is the player who was lynched? Do they just get that power again? I guess there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it might be more fun for that player if they get another power. And so just adding that little bit in there might have been just a decent little tweak to the power. Remember back in 2015 when people didn't have personal computers at home? It must have sucked. Or am I thinking about 1980? It was Thanos who showed up that way with the Cabal, which is Mandy. So should we lynch her and check? Maybe a public reveal is more helpful. I showed up that way and then was also shot as Arnold Stark immediately after. Now I am Silk of the Spider-Verse, and Stuart is throwing shade my way on top of climbing my fucking character. What? So goddamn confusing. It's hard to make heads or tails. Mafia joke. Where'd she come from? Oh. But just like people talking to me. Hi, Moses. I just wanted to say, you read the wrong comics. Do not believe the act. This is not the Shim we know. Yeah, no shit. Didn't he jump on something that Buck had done, like really deep into a previous day's thread? Yeah. Shim? Nay. Do I have to fuck my way out? This would totally change how I compose my list. Yeah. Blue, if dirty, I want a video of hat eating. I want the same courtesy. I'm literally sitting the FSCJ downtown parking lot playing Mafia, trying to prevent my damn death on 3G. Should have had that dedication when it was time to submit your list. Sorry about your butt. No context. No context for you. Day 7 begins. Day 6 Doomer. It is time we witnessed death in its truest form. Doom sees how this may seem unfair to some, but from a Doom's eye view, this is well within bounds of fairness and balance. Whatever those conceits, concepts may truly mean. Life is mine to give, and it is mine to take away. Isis vanquished as villager. Her death may be a meaningless one, but it will serve a higher purpose in Battleworld. She had to leave for family. Well, I guess you can call it family. Her fucking home was getting flooded. We return now to the games. Prepare for entertainment. Deathmatch number 1. Punisher against War Machine Shaika. War Machine lost. Gambit against Gambit. Against Hyperion. Gambit lost. Billy. Triage against Punisher Robbie Baldwin. Star Kitty as Triage lost. The Collector Don Bello lost against Kingpin. And Silk Stewart lost against Maestro. So Stark's team 4, Thor team 1. Armor versus Hammer, a fine contest indeed. Allow a moment for Doom to ponder this outcome. Thor, daughter of Odin and Midgard. Doom demands your attention. Now for the other things. The fuck does that mean? Village Lynch, Peter Rasputin, Starbuck. Mafia Lynch, Nighthawk, Squadron Supreme, Bam! Gun, Spider-Man UK from the Spider-Verse, Tim Dog. Public target reveal. Hello, targeted? No one. Doom has enjoyed these games, but the Colosseum has been reduced to rubble. Today, we enter the Sentinel territories. Years of future past. Oh! As such, all mutants have been given inhibitor colors. If you are a mutant, your power will not work today. If you are unsure, ask a friend. Farewell, non-mutants. So Doom just clarified for me that while he did send me the Silk PM, he meant to send Peter Rasputin, but it never came through. So yes, I was Peter Rasputin, but I had no clue. Ouch. So, game runners make goofs sometimes. I don't think I ran a game without one. Or 4. So this one led to an entire day of Stu and Buck going at it. It's, again, John had a ton of shit going on. This is unfortunate. Shit happens. I'll get into this a little bit more later, but one of the big things that can help with this sort of stuff is having a co-runner, but even then, you know, having 2 people that sign checks for a company is a good way to prevent fraud, but not a guarantee. Same thing with this sort of stuff. Things are still likely to get through, but that said, this was just an oopsie, and, well, it kind of gave them something to talk about on day 6, I guess. No need to overthink this. All kills on Schimmel. All info gathering powers on people you suspect. Doesn't matter who. This is a great opportunity for us to learn a lot and risk a little truth. Blue, will you take a picture with my mom in Atlanta? Maybe, motherfucker, while you all up in my pockets. Well, that's not very Lady Roguelike now, is it, kitty? Dorito teeny. So here was a little discussion going on about, So this is Rocco saying loser dies automatically against yeah. So that just makes me think about how wouldn't it be neat if, especially in a game like this, where 2 players decide to have their own little duel or having it out or whatever. This is related to a game mechanic, but at the same time, I wonder if there might be a clean way to start introducing a mechanic into the games whereby players can, not just for the entertainment of the game runner who now has something new in their game that they didn't previously have to send out an assignment, but having players just come up with their own shit is kind of neat. it's a way, especially if they do it off of the end of day cycle. Another very interesting thing that can come from that is people, instead of them spending 23 hours or whatever going off of the same information that they had at the beginning, this now produces more of an information drip feed. And so stuff like this, where maybe players can just have it out and shoot each other however they want to manage it. They would probably not go for a popularity contest vote, but something else, something more mechanical. That's just, I don't know. This is interesting. So, do we know anything about Deadpool other than he died as Deadpool? No, we don't. Fucking inactives. God damn it. Star. Okay, Star. As far as pulling off Rogue, I would have helped, but my experience with Rogue, very limited. Early 90s comics, the 90s cartoon, and in that, she was all gushy over Gambit, and at the same time, just flirty in general. Wasn't something I wanted to, right or wrong on the writers for doing what they did and treating her the way they did. She didn't have much other depth other than the mommy issues type thing, but that just wasn't a character that I thought I wanted to give my input on, because I figured you probably wouldn't want to roleplay that way. So I was hoping that someone else would step in and give a little bit more recent information on how she had done in the last 20 years since I had stopped paying attention. So Day 8 begins. Day 7 Doom Report. Village Lynch, Schimmel, failed. Mafia Lynch, Namor, House of M, thwack. Gun, Schimmel, failed. Gun, Schimmel, failed. Gun, Iron Man 1610, Long Odds. Gun, Howard the Human, New Quack City, Celtic. Grudge match. Maestro fought Punisher, and Punisher won. Spino was trying to help get rid of Schimmel and lost. Coming with me. Kingpin, Armor Wars, Canuck. Was that called? I don't remember what that is. Public reveal. Kelly, Dagger, 1610. Cloak and pick a target to kill. Half chance your attack is successful. Half chance you stun them and block their powers for the day. Well, results may have been simpler, but we can agree it was less entertaining. But this was never about entertainment. It's about survival. Spider Island knows a thing or two about survival, and that is where we find ourselves. Among monsters, among predators. All characters from Spider Island have been awakened. What does awakened mean? Just kill the people on the brink, me included, if I am. Waiting on John for that. So, the public reveal of Schimmel said that the kills would show up that way, and they showed up that way, but people are still kind of second guessing. And here, and I'm not saying that this was happening here, of course, and I'm not saying it necessarily ever happened. Maybe. I haven't done it. It's not something I would want to do. But back when I was playing Magic, there was a scumbaggery trick that I had heard about a person using where you would use the judge, the authority outside of your game, in this case that would be John, to kind of lie to your opponent in a way that seemed like it was legitimate. So you would call the judge over, and I'll just make up a vague example. You would point to a card in your hand and then say something to the effect of, if I kill that creature, usually one of your opponents, would the counters go somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. Something that related to whatever it was going on the board. The judge would see the card that you pointed to. You were showing it to them, after all. And yet, the card could have been a fucking land. It could have been a nothing card. And so, they can't call you out on it. because that's not what they're there for. So the opponent thinks, well, the judge answered the question. This person must have a kill card in their hand. Removal, sorry. So the judge would know immediately that this person was being a douchebag, but they couldn't say anything about it. They couldn't say that doesn't kill or anything like that, because then it would give information to the other player that the judge should not be giving. So, being that the judge was stuck simply answering the question and then walking away, now that player believed this person's bluff. And so I know in Mafia games there's a little bit of, shitty play involved or potentially involved. And sometimes we remember it fondly, especially if it was a one-time thing, but implying game runner involvement or even outright lying and saying that you were told in a message from the game runner this or that, the only way the game runner could fix that is by coming in and breaking it in another direction and saying, no, I didn't. And so then that just makes that person all fucking shitty looking, and it's kind of the same way. It's just one of those things where you just have to hope that no one tries to pull this stuff. You could even put a rule in the instructions before the game starts, before sign-ups start, because people should know the rules of the game before they sign up. That, stuff like that where you are mentioning the game runner is not allowed in order to prevent not only this but other stuff as well. So kind of one of those tricky things. Someone shoot Moses so we can move him on to another level. So I agree. Moses' power is neat. I think I've used it before, but it should have, even if it's in a game where you only have one life, it should have an evolution where either after X number of days or when the player feels like moving on, because that way they can make the decision on their own to show, okay, I want to move on now. It seems like I've got enough people to believe that I'm village. So, and then you get into the whole, I don't want to call it meta thing, but if you have this power in too many games, even spread out across years, do people just start to take it at face value anymore and expect, oh, one person's got that, okay, now you can move on to the next thing, because the game runner is sending a message on someone else's behalf. It has to be believed. So why even waste going to two if the first person comes out and says something? So I think the power itself, not only do you need to move on, not only does that need to be built in, whether the person just choosing to sacrifice that character and move on to the next set, or in a single character game, just choosing to move on and abandon the ability to do that first thing later on. I feel like this particular power itself kind of needs to evolve how it works, go to the next stage, if it continues to be used in games going forward. I'm leading a fraction of some sort, so should we start calling you the numerator? Fucking Celtic. She did public reveal John. She literally public revealed Doom by name because she was afraid the power may become a kill or something like that in Limbo. So going back to that thing that I had mentioned before that I didn't even notice while playing. I don't think that game runners need to go along with every way that a player tries to involve them in the game. We've had some good memories from when that has happened before, especially that one game where it ended up being that everyone was the village and the game runner was the bad guy. But this reasoning I thought was kind of neat. Because they were in limbo, where weird shit was going to happen, she took a shot at the game runner. And so, again, there's just, all kinds of cleverness all around, both on her part and on John's, for how he decided to twist it and play around with it. By the way, pretty thankful for the aiming of our lone gunman last night. Lone gunman. For those just reading through, jump to page 11 here. You won't miss anything important at all. You'll thank me later. Okay. Weird thing to see on page 2, but alright. Moving on. Fucking turtles! Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fucking memories, man. I gotta ask Mom if she still has that thing laying around. Book I discussed with Jenny on the Thor board. I don't think a village of death will help answer anything. We need to kill the Mafia. Long odds agreed. If we need to learn from a villager's death, that will happen in time as we hunt for Mafia. I'm totally against killing someone that isn't a suspect just to see what it looks like or what else we can learn. This appears to be a game of attrition. We shouldn't be giving away any village lives. Plus, what's a village death going to reveal that hasn't been already from the early terminations? Edit, neither were in the results, but still. So here we are in day 8, where a proper villager has not actually been vanquished on the results page so that we know what it looks like. Now, there were 2 other eliminations kind of outside of the results. One of them was later posted in the results as well, and those showed village. So even if not in results, it was from the game runner. We saw village, and so that's what this train of argument is about. And it is that we don't need villagers to die to see that there's a village. We know that it's out there. So, and plus, powers that had been seen at that point had also led to the idea that there was already a village faction that was operating as it normally would in the game. Rocco. Tim Dog. 2-0 apostrophe S. In Groot is no and 3 is yes. So, as a game runner who has put posting restrictions into the game, and even tried to iterate on that by things like you can only quote posts, I feel like it's still something that we need to iterate on as runners. So the whole thing about a posting restriction is you are allowing them to communicate in character, and there's almost always going to be a subjective thing in your mind that is okay when it comes to what they can share and what they can't. You have that bar in mind, but I don't know how every other game runner has done theirs. But for me, I've never actually put in there very clearly what my image was. Instead, I always tried to put just straight game talk of this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, and then let it go like that. And then people come up with clever ways to get around it. And this will actually get taken advantage of later. So with this I am Groot restriction, still able to communicate yeses and nos. Now, you can argue flavor-wise that there were people in the comics, movies, whatever you're familiar with, that actually could understand Groot, but that's not built into this. Maybe there's a way where it could have been, but that's not built into this. So this is just other players trying to come up with a way to work around the restriction instead of the whole, like I was talking about before, spirit of the game type thing. I feel like that is partly on us as game runners to, in the assignment with the posting restriction, be very explicit about what is and is not allowed, and let them know the spirit that you're going for. And I would start with this again. We need to iterate to see if this is worth it, but also give them incentive in the assignment to play along. So if this, then this. I did that with Poppy, and everyone saw that it seemed to work out well. It went to a person who fucking just went nuts with it and had fun, and kind of did the whole communicating yes and no's thing, which wasn't intended, but also didn't appear to break anything. And he did that in a way, if I remember correctly, and he can come correct me if not, I think he kind of implied that once his character was figured out, there would be the restriction, and that was what I had put into his thing, but he kind of egged people into it. So when that happened, he had fun and didn't try to break it. But this, there will be yeses and nos that are inferred from Tim Dog's posts going forward. And so this is one of those things where, is it in the spirit of play? Can we kind of guide the spirit of play as game runners by having more information in the post, in the power assignment? People may not read all the way through the rules. They may not read through the story parts of the results. They may not even read through all of the results altogether if there's a lot going on in there. But what they will read the fuck out of multiple times is their own assignment. And if we give them incentive to play along and punishment if they don't, maybe they'll fight back on it or push back on it, but that is the assignment that they have been dealt. And so maybe stuff like this could be counteracted in that way, where you specify you are only allowed to say this. You can't, for example, this one, you can't change the number of O's, you can't change capitalization, bolding, underline, italics, font, anything like that. It is exactly this. And you can only do it once. You can't quote things and respond to it. All of those things are meant to make it to where you're just in the character, and it prevents them from having all of these kinds of outs. And I just name shit that I just pulled out of my ass. There are many things that could come into play with this, and that's again why I feel that iterating needs to happen in order to make it to where a restriction is a restriction, and the restriction in flavor can be different from time to time. So as we iterate, we also adapt to the game, the source material, and whatever else comes into play in that game. So it could be a thing where these posting restriction powers end up having this long checkbox, and none will check them all off. So each game runner will choose the things that apply to them, stick it into the assignment, and then you see how the player plays along. Day 9 begins. Day 8 Doom Report. Doom killed person. Village Lynch. Schimmel. Vanquished. Independent. Mafia Lynch. Wolfsbane from Extopia. David K. Gun. Tony Stark. 616. Guarded. Gun. Bellow. Vanquished. Village. Wow. So, I wonder if this is something that John can come back with. But I'm wondering if he designed this game where there were definitely a good number of Mafia power sets out there that just didn't get recruited. And so that's where recruiting gets a little bit of it gets a little wonky, because just you don't give useless village powers to the village, or Mafia-like powers, if you want to say it that way. You don't usually want to give village powers to the Mafia. So is there a way that you could steer the recruits? And there are multiple ways of steering them, but then does the person doing the recruiting really have any agency of their own? So, Bellow being village here was very weird. to me at least, but we'll move on. Gun, Bello, Still Village. Gun, Spider Hulk, Spider Island Lizard, failed. Attacked. Captain Marvel, Spider Island Vampire, will die tomorrow. So this is the without explicit injured thing that we were looking for earlier. Monster Attack, Dagger, 1610, Kelly. Strongest Survive, Mark, Hillbilly Ed, and Will. Demovig, lowest vote getter dies. Public target reveal, Lady Shika targeted Don Bello. I'ma do this tomorrow, no creativity at the Mower in Arcadia Girl. I'll go back and pick up some info for the list later on as I recall a few things but don't have the time to check. One such thing was Long Odds saying that Jenny has 4 characters and the fact that she can't be killed until she starts lynching. That seems wicked powerful if she's either not village or the village doesn't win if they do. And I know you said you don't know your win condition. Even if she's just got 3 Thors and we need to kill them before she becomes killable, that seems way too much if she's got 4 lives. We need to start thinning the herd. Virgil, Ed, Mark need to get hit with something, if only so that they get their powers that are trackable to give some accountability. Always an important thing with these Mafia games. Canuck Taste need to reveal their current character. Rocco needs that shit. It's been some time since both of you last died. You two are active enough. Will and Deadpool 2, if and when they turn up. I'm leaning toward Mark or Ed for the Demovig, but since they're probably not retractable and we need to coordination, I'll leave it to later to vote. And David, did you stop getting recruitment notices when you lost one of your characters? I would assume so. I thought you got one after someone died, but maybe I'm misremembering. So, plans. I scrolled past them earlier just because it didn't seem like there was one post to really point to, but the Thors did come out and say, hey, we're up for working now with you guys. As far as we know, we're village, so let's go. What do you guys want to do? I just didn't have a particular post to point to. The power that Moses had is one I threw into the game a long time ago. After its lackluster performance in that game, I decided to ramp it up in the next game, and that's what the Masons were. A group of cleared villagers able to communicate. No win condition, no nothing, as they were all just villagers. That could be all that's going on here, except the multiple lives thing brings it into the easy mechanic of shifting the purpose of the Mason group. So what I was talking about there was that I had Moses' power, but then I realized that as that person got further along in the game, and it was a game that did not have recruiting, that player wasn't really doing anything. And so I have this whole 5 things that make a good Mafia power thing that I had a long time ago. And I wanted to improve on that. And so actively recruiting Masons was an important thing. And so I had one person that was the Mason recruiter, but no one lost their power when they came to him. So his job was to continue to build up this sort of cool club cleared group. But really, it was just villagers. And that wasn't even my idea. Masons were something that had been around in Mafia. I got them from one of the Flash videos, I think, or an article somewhere that had been written on it. So Masons have been around for a long time, and that's really all they were. And I think that this was just me thinking, well, maybe that's what the Thors are, until we find out otherwise. There were a lot of quick votes on Ed for that demo vid. Did I miss a post where someone deemed his absence useful? I mean, I know all 3 of them have been MIA most of the game, but why protect Ed over the other 2? Fair. My vote was for the least absence. Fair. This, plus he's posted about the game when he's here, while Will and Mark have done nothing besides say, hey, I'm here now, and then leave again. So that's not necessarily a good sign, especially with his power. All 3 should be removed of a life. As Jenny said, there's been a few good characters for info gathering that he could have taken, and he hasn't come forward with any info. Unless they just get added to the back of the roster, ? So, possible. I have that same question for Albert. What's he taken, and what's he gotten out of it after all these damn dead characters? Now, that's important both on Ed and Albert's part coming to this point. There's also just the fun that can be discussed when it comes to how demo vigs are a thing. don't even know where that got its name. I probably wasn't there the first time it was used. But there are so many different ways, if you want to think of it, of that being handled, including a player themselves posting in the thread and starting something like this. Again, a way to change things up midday. And then on top of that, you've got other variants of it where why can't it be 2 out of 3? Or why, do or do you not allow for votes to be retracted and stuff? All kinds of interesting things when it comes to the whole demo vig, but something that I would like to do moving forward as we iterate on it is to do something that differentiates it from simply being a second lynch of a subset of the players that one person chose. I feel like we could go a little bit further than that and have it be tied to something other than a second vote, because essentially, so far, that's all it is. Voting Will at this point for the lynch makes no sense when he's far and away the demo vig target, barring some weird rush for him on that front. I've seen so many posts like this today. Will has many lives left. It's okay to kill him twice. Or more. Throw a fucking gun at him. That's how guns work, right? Kelly gets it. Someone said another was Deadpool, so it's not so cut and dry, but it seems like a weird person to throw in. Also being 616, when the only 616 people are from the raft, seems a bit sketchy, although Abigail Brand is in a similar situation. So again, that's drawing from the source material in the game. You never actively want to do that just because you're hoping, even as a game runner, that you were only using that as a basis, and that the players, if you want to look at it this way as sort of a role play, are crafting a new narrative that is separate from what existed in the source material. What do you mean life raft? I'm 616. Pretty sure I had a yacht. Hold on. Roleplay. Hey. In the comics, a bunch of people survived the multiverse collapse because they were in a life raft. A bunch of 616ers and Miles Morales from 1610. I think 616 Iron Man was the other one in the Ultimates story. You'd make a great Thor. Doll. I feel like Vision should count. He was deemed worthy in recent events. So, okay, source material thing again, but also being deemed worthy of wielding Mjolnir does not make you a Thor. Those are separate. I don't care what the fuck Marvel movies have to say about that shit. So, I've looked ahead. Days 10, 11, and 12. Oddly boring. I know that sometimes there can be some wind down in a later, but there were still so many people alive, so many deaths to be had and such, but this was getting into Thanksgiving week in real life for people, and yeah. So I'm going to do days 10, 11, and 12 all together. So day 10 begins. Day 9 results. Oh, so much due today. Our time in Arcadia was good. Female players' votes were counted. Female characters' power were successful, with obvious exceptions. It's good to be Doom. Day 9 Doom report. Village Lynch was Madeline Pryor from Inferno. Will. Mafia Lynch. Starbuck. Vanquished. Villager. Other Mafia Lynch. Hank Pym. Deadlands. Blue. Now, that's the weird one here. This is where things start to get a little bit weird for the Thors, because that was their claimed kill. That was their help on us, and then bam, they show up as a Mafia Lynch on the character that they said that they were going to kill with their lynch. So, yikes. This was even this late in the game. People discovering new things about the game. They were not even aware of this. So, interesting. And there are also implications about, we'll get into that. This day has a little bit of these days have some room for tangenting. Gun, Captain Marvel, Spider Island Vampire, Spinals, Monster Attack, Iron Man 616 Clone, Hillbilly Ed, Monster Attack Arcade from the Colosseum, Spinal, Strongest Survive, Nightcrawler from Age of Apocalypse, Will was died. We have encountered perfection. Ultron NPC has been awakened. Neat. Again, we're all still discovering this late into the game. That's a good thing. Good game runner. Ed. He got a clone from Long Odds. He said he was Sinister, and he got Magnus from because Sinister was in Limbo, and he moved out. I don't see how he could get Iron Man's clone if whoever he picked gets added to the back of his roster. Pointing at things. So the Mafia lynch was blue. Didn't Poker just say his faction lynched blue? Green gets it. Meant to say that too. Thor's lynch is coming up as Mafia. Hella suspicious. So I am... Yeah, Virgil's caught on. Celtics caught on. So Kelly and probably everyone else. So what's kind of interesting about this is just spitballing here. What would it be like in a game where, and maybe that was the intent here, but it would play out differently every time. If you had a faction that knew that they were a faction but did not know that they were the bad guys. So I know that there have been, I'm not going to say what game I played. You all, knowing me, can assume it was a game. But there was a very, very interesting twist in a game I played years back where tried out, sure, but there was a character that you played as the character that woke up with amnesia and then found out that, oh, halfway through the game, you did all kinds of bad shit. There was a TV show that I watched for a couple seasons, and I just could not get that much further into it. I don't think I finished the second season because the second season had to do with the main character suffering from something like that. So there is a way of putting that into a Mafia game by having that sort of thing happen where they didn't realize that they were the bad guys. But how it affects the players is also something that comes into play. I want to point to the Pocket Game and Twist. The Pocket Game and Twist, honestly, it wasn't any sort of an experiment on human psychology or anything like that. It was simply meant for me to give the players who died in the first few days a reason to stick around and a way to keep playing in a way that would influence the end result. The way that it was going to influence it was that depending on the little Pocket Game result, the NPC that was in the game was going to choose sides in the main game. So that's how that worked. But what happened was when people came over to the other side and learned that I've now put them into these mini village and mini mafia, and it wasn't the same team as they were on before, they just said, fuck this. I don't want to do something that's going to help the team that I wasn't on in the main game win. Even though by me putting them on these other teams, it was effectively re-teaming them. Players were not game for that. It doesn't matter if you've crafted this experience. Sometimes players are just not going to be into it and not want to play in that fashion. And so the game was a complete failure. The minigame was, at least. And the two people that stuck it out and went ahead and kept playing did finish the game. And so the main game was not affected, thankfully. But that sort of thing comes into play here. They're claiming to us villagers observing through this one thread that they did not know what was going on. And it's very apparent that if they call their kill after a public reveal and then it turns up Mafia, that they had every reason to throw their hands up and be pissed off because now they're being branded the bad guys. And so that's something that comes into play with these sorts of things. Day 10 Doom Report. Village Lynch, Cloak, 1610, Shaika. Mafia Lynch, Will, Vanquished, Illuminati. Hadn't fucking heard of them yet. And yet, here we get this brand new puzzle piece, and it was tied to a largely inactive player. Fucking quiets, man. Mafia Lynch, Baroness Rachel Gray from Extopia, Kelly. There's an image there I can't fucking see, but that's okay, because Doom said ignore it. Linked Kill, Logan, Wolverine. What was that again? Years of Future Past? I don't remember. David K. Gun, Valeria Richards, Doomstat, Shaika. Gun, Carter Slade, Ghost Racers from the Coliseum, Canuck. Gun, Chrissy Pride, Years of Future Past. Celtic. Attacked, Star-Lord 616. Hey, we heard about him earlier in one of the, what was it, Rocco? One of his finds. Will Die Tomorrow. Eliminate. Jenny, Vanquished, Thorcore. Wow. So this was a character or a player that had 4 lives. We saw that, I'm pretty sure. And then just fucking poof. Monster Attack, Spider-Man, Peter Parker 616. Moses, Monster Attack, Weapon X, Age of Extinction, or Age of Apocalypse. Failed. Ultron Scan. Acquiring target, search Albert. Status, Spider Hulk from Spider Island, Lizard. Spider Smash, you're a Hulk-sized spider, spiked with lizard serum. Unless someone can cure this, you will kill a random player every other night. After Spider Island, you will kill every night. Alignment inconclusive. And then accessing protocols, launching Ultron Initiative 2.1, whatever that means. This is Greenland. You're all Hulks today. Act the part. Get a good whiff of that gamma radiation. All kill powers will be counted as double attacks today. Fun! Village. We mourn the death of my daughter today with 2 lynches. The top 2 vote getters will die. Stuart, another one of these. Okay, I have a fuck ton of questions for and or points about people. So, in chronological order, Ed, again, under the microscope. Why did it say that your Iron Man clone died when I'm pretty sure you said that when you take a character, it gets put to the back and you don't have access to it? You got access to Magnus because Sinister got put in limbo and then released, but neither of them dead? Suspicious. Why is Mark still on his first character? He's done absolutely nothing and gave a wishy-washy response when I probed him about his power and whether he'd done anything verifiable. Long Odds said Jenny had a 4th character. I think it was 4th, but she just got insta-killed after her first. No shit. Interesting. Tim Dog should probably be shot. A posting restriction doesn't help us here unless he's going to quote something in the results as verifiable to claim it as its own, like a gun or some shit. Billy should get whatever Poker's power was when he was a Ghost Rider. Poker, what was your power? Someone remarked, Lorraine is still on her first character. That needs to be fixed. Ha. Fixed. Deadpool is also there, but doesn't seem to be doing anything. No shit. Rocco, why have you submitted... What? Who have you submitted in the past couple of days? So again, Rocco is the one that's searching for characters in the game. Blue. He exists. Virgil, again, he's on his first and has done nothing and isn't able to have done anything power-wise. All good points. Stu's pointing. Lots of points. Lots of people to kill. Lots of targets. And you could say only 1 lynch, but at the same time, we have seen a number of guns and some of them have aimed true, called or not. So that's good. So this is Spinal pointing to the Ultron. Also, can someone cure Albert so he stops killing? And then Logons responds. I can fuck to cure Albert. And that's a direct quote. Day 12 begins. Day 11 report. Like I said, these things just go quick. Village Lynch, Shaika, Vanquish, Thorcore. The Thors weren't doing so well after yesterday's kill, so... Lynch, Ben Grimm, The Wall, failed. Whatever that means. Mafia Lynch, Apocalypse, Age of Apocalypse, Stuart, Legacy Virus Infection, Rogue 92, powerless. Unless cured, she will infect another random player each day, leaving them powerless as well. The character was called out as infected, but then it talks about infecting a player. So is it affecting the character and then it goes away with the character? Or is it the player? Is it stuck to the player until the player is cured? Also, do those other players then pass on the infection like you might expect? So many questions. Mafia Lynch, Kelly, guarded. Clobbering Time, President, Tony Stark, Civil War, asterisk, Iron Man 616, guarded. I don't know what that means. Big fucking gun, Hyperion, Squadron Supreme, asterisk. General America from Civil War, asterisk. Spider-Man Noir from Spider-Verse, mark. So it looks like a bunch. So Clobbering Time was a double kill. Big fucking gun was a triple kill. That went through 3 lives of marks. Clobbering Time ended up going through 1, but the player wasn't specified. Public reveal, long odds, President Tony Stark, Civil War. Revealed there, but still, that doesn't apply. Commander-in-Chief, on day 1, you're immune to all kills. On day 2, you can only be Mafia Lynch. On day 3, you can die by any Lynch. On day 4, you can be killed by anyone. Gun, Star-Lord, 616, Celtic. Vanquished, members only club. Starting to work down on those. Gun, No Girl. E is for extinction. Blue. Also, Ruby Summers from Future Imperfect. Blue. Gun. President Tony Stark. Civil War. Guarded. Both times. Gun. Kelly. Vanquished. Village. No player or no character called out, though. Gun. David K. Vanquished. No character called out, though. Attacked. Uncle Eric from Yaf will die tomorrow. Eliminate. Albert, Vanquished, members only club. So 2 member only club and 1 Thor core gone. Seems like a good day. Monster Attack, Rocket Raccoon from Battle Realm, belonging to Rocco. Monster Infection, Groot Thor from Doomgar, belonging to Ten Dog. Ultron Scan. Sarge Hillbilly Ed, status C. That letter we were talking about a while back. Hank Pym, Deadlands, a clone. Passive. Every 2 days you're alive, you create an Ultron that will protect you from 1 attack. The first will activate on day 3, then days 5, 7, 9, etc. You may choose to activate your Ultrons, forcing them to kill another player instead of protecting you, but they come with a certain risk when used actively. Alignment, members only club. So here we go. Hillbilly suspicious for however many days, and then bam. What's going on? Big list. People were adding to this, but at the same time, it was never... In this sort of game, you have a player with 4 characters from different locations with different power sets involved. So a full post of this would have just been impossible to get through. I wonder if there's a character limit on this board, but it does show Dead Indy, Dead Illuminati, 2 dead Thor core members, 2 dead members only club, so at least that's good. Okay, I feel like we might be starting to get somewhere. Stu's good at these. Another summary post. Ed, can we fucking kill him now? Yes. Poker, can we talk about your lynches? Because Poker was the only person at this point that we thought was left in the Thor core. And presumably that kill was still available to him. Moses, we need your guidance since you're the only cleared person. Weird thing to say in a game with recruitment, but moving on. And I hope you are actually village and your first power wasn't just a ruse. Well, so the first power being a ruse would have had to mean that everyone else was playing along when they said that they got it too, but moving on. Long odds, let's talk about your faction. Lorene, can we also fucking kill her too? She's still on a character number 1. Someone please shoot her. Or everyone shoot her. Stache, we might need to look at him. Only one death and he survived a monster attack a few days ago. I was curious about that too. Virgil's still on his first character and he's done nothing. So Rocco was doing these. Even though he himself admitted that the list was never complete, we never knew it was exactly 100 characters. We found powers in the game where people could create more characters and bring them into the game. So we were never going to know the number, being that they could quietly activate that power and we wouldn't know. So even if we hit 98, 100 or whatever, that could have still been with players around. So I'm not sure why this was done other than just being involved and being happy to play along and have all this stuff. So, and a bit of a fact-checking thing so that no one trying to lie for whatever reason in this game would claim one of the characters that was already on the list. Day 13 begins. Day 12, Doom Report. Village Lynch, Ben Grimm, The Wall, Guarded, a fucking Gen. Mafia Lynch, Miles Morales, 1601, Spider-Man, Moses. Mafia Lynch, Hank Pym, Deadlands, Clone, Guarded. Reflex Kill, Ben Grimm, The Wall, Guarded, a fucking Gen. Healed, Rogue 92. All power fight again, y'all. Gun, Spider King, Spider Island Werewolf, failed. Reflex Kill, Angela, Witch Hunter, 1602, Spinal. Resurrected, Arcade from the Coliseum. Gun, Uncle Eric, Yoff. Mark, Vanquished, Village. Soul Gem, Mr. Fix-It, Battle Realm. Monster Attack, Robbie Reyes, Ghost Racers, Coliseum. Billy, Monster Attack, Waken, House of M, failed. Gun, Hank Pym, Deadlands, Clone, Hillbilly Ed. Went through that time. Ultron Scan, Acquiring Target. Doc Green, Planet Hulk. It's not showing who this is, but you can be saved from one attack each night or protect another from one attack. If your target is attacked, you get the reflex attack. Is that what happened there? But at the same time, it's still guarded anyway. Fuck. Alignment. Members only club. There are no strings on me. Welcome back, Arcade. To commemorate your return, how about a game? Head Game Master's Choice. At the end of the day, every living player must be partnered with another. Except you, Arcade. You are exempt. How you get these pairings is up to your choice of game. Doom loves a rousing, bracketed game of Marry, Doom, Kill. Involve the players, but the final pairings must be posted publicly by an hour before EOD. Then we'll see what happens next in the Coliseum. "69 characters have died. All of these peoples." Real talk, I scroll past that list every time I see it. Well, you didn't need to say that out loud. He's right there. Feelings. Who's actually doing the pairing? I mean, I assume the pairings are another sort of grudge match. How have any of these been decided? Character related strengths. We don't want pairings, says Long Odds. That would be just like a grudge match, like resulting in 50-50 kills. Those types of random or at least undirected kills statistically helps the minority. Doom opened it up to trios with his Marry, Doom, Kill example. Let's push it to quads. Can anyone think of a 4-player game that has only one loser? If not, even Marry, Doom, Kill is better than the 50-50 two-person pairings. So, agreed. And this kind of goes back to that thing that I was talking about a few game days ago, about how players coming up with their own shit too is fun. And this is a player chosen but still runner driven thing. So I like the idea of 3 and 4 player games being used, and my mind, once he did do that, make that Mary kill, fuck, whatever it is, I also started to think up those sorts of other games. But that said, he did mention a few times in there that was not how it was going to go. 2. So it was going to be a 50-50. So Moses is looking at a Stewart post here. Well, it was just one of Stewart's list. Stewart was showing the Illuminati as Will, who was killed by the Mafia on day 2. So, is this right? Will was Mafia lynched day 2. Everyone is posting that the Illuminati has to be the original Mafia, but at that point there was only one Mafia lynch. And we're assuming that the Thors were the second Mafia lynch that just joined whatever day that was. Cannot clarify with me here because you could benefit from this as well. So either the Thors were lynching from the start and the Illuminati were the late lynchers, or the Illuminatis aren't Mafia. And I'm back to hounding Long Odds' handsome boy modeling school, as they have got to be the other Mafia, because holy fucking shit, could there really be another unknown faction this entire time? Does everyone follow this? Will was Illuminati. Everyone was beginning to surmise that they could be the other Mafia and would be the original Mafia, considering the Thor Mafia began lynching very publicly, given the back and forth with Jenny in the thread that day. On day 9, Will was Mafia lynched day 2. If Illuminati were the original Mafia, why would they attack their own so early? It doesn't add up. Now that said, this does go back into the whole thing of, could, in a game like this, where all players, including the Mafia players, have lives, could they sort of kind of clear, even though recruitment is in play, which things could, maybe they would have been recruited later anyway, so that person would still be sort of a back burner suspect, but still suspect. Could they kind of somewhat clear one of their own with a weak power day 1 or 2 by killing one of their own, so that they move on to something that is much more beneficial to the team? So that is another explanation as a sort of counter argument to this here. But again, Moses is kind of hitting it on the head here, and I guess we'll see how the village picks up on it moving forward. We have no idea if he was on the team day 2. So again, that goes back, Moses was bringing that up. Recruitment has happened. So, and then he also mentions, or they wanted to move on to his next character to make him, yeah, so there's Chance saying that same thing. On day 2, that's a little quick and drastic. I don't think that there would have been any way for even a proper Mafia to know on day 2 how much other recruitment was going to be out there. So they might not have known that there were going to be half a dozen recruits after this point. So remember, this is late and we haven't been getting notifications, but that's because the character who was getting the notifications was killed off. So it wasn't just innately put into the results like it had been in other games. Long Odds comes in. This entire line of thinking is based on the assumption that the Mafia you're talking about started whole. I don't think that's a good assumption at all. So that also goes back into the Mafia, even if they knew that there was recruiting in play because they were even doing it themselves, if they did this play early and then saw how many recruits there were after the fact, then they would know that Will was likely not going to feel cleared anymore. But there wasn't really going to be a way for them to know that necessarily after only one good day's worth of information with the Mafia 2 lynch, or the day 2 Mafia lynch. So here's Spinal posting his matches. Tim against Virgil, Chance against Stewart, Billy against Canuck, Ed against Alo, Deadpool against Kitty, Blue against, I thought that Smack had already left the game, but maybe not. Lorene and Moses, Taste and Rocco. I'm on Fortify Day. Who wants it? No one? Cool. I'll fortify myself and create a sweet loot fort. Day 14 begins. Day 13 Doom Report. Village Lynch. Punisher Robbie Baldwin from Civil War. Lorene. Mafia Lynch, Arcade, Coliseum, Spinal. Mafia Lynch, Hillbilly Ed, Vanquished, Members Only Cub. Good. Avalanche, whatever the fuck that is. Havoc from Extopia. Asterisk. Doctor Strange 616. Billy, Vanquished, Illuminati. So again, I'm assuming these are double kills or multi-kills. Avalanche, Sacrifice. Canuck, Vanquished, Thorcore. This is starting to read like a good day. Monster Attack, Groot, Thor, Doomguard, Tim Dog. Monster Attack, Spider King, Spider Island Werewolf, Virgil. A new character has joined the game. We are now in Dystopia. Evil reigns. Non-village factions will get 2 lynches today. Immediately, chance coming in. Lorene is Illuminati. Goes on the questioning hard right away. Yeah, not looking great. Also, if anyone could explain what the purpose was of the pairings yesterday, that'd be swell. Agreed, those were not in the results. And then Spinal, who was in control of the pairings, says, I don't know what the pairings were for, wasn't my power, and it wasn't. It was something that was thrown in by Doom. Sweet, more awesome summary. I have no idea what's going on with Tim Dog. It says Groot has died twice. I guess he could have had the regen thing going on. More confusion. Chance is now Ghost Rider, question mark? What happened to Ancient Venom? Spinal's Arcade died, but he's still in the game, question mark? Why does he have 5 lives? Oh, Squoozy. Squoozy again. I don't really know what to do. The Mafia will just use their 2 lunches on people they know will die. Just fucking try me, bitches. As we continue to not really know who to go for. I'd argue that wasn't true. Though at the same time, the Lorene thing was a lot less... I don't know. Where the Avalanche thing come from, more strong killing powers, which makes me nervous. My current list would be Tim. I don't like how he's surviving and seems to be taking credit for the eliminates, which happen on a Thor and a members club. Which, if the Mafia are another team altogether, hasn't necessarily helped the village, but looks like it might have. Spinal, more than 4 lives, worrying. I thought Spinal had someone return to him. Maybe that got killed, I don't remember. Lorene still needs more guns. Taste, I don't know, something just worrying me about him. The only thing that doesn't is that he could have been a Thor, so unlikely to be a Mafia or other faction too. In fact, that goes for Tim too. So that is a thing about how something that it's possible that no game runner would have known, or I'm sorry, no player would have known, but only the game runner had in their little back pocket, is some of the caveats that came to recruiting. So it's possible that if someone was meant to be a Thor, that they could not have been something else. I know that we'll find out later that that wasn't entirely true, but still, that is something that is up to the game runner to decide as far as sectioning people off. It's doable both ways. I don't feel too suspicious about Thwack. I think it'd be very shitty of him to still be submitting powers and being on the Mafia board. I think he's just left, and that points to him being village. Did the Hoff really just legally change his name? Takes the hassle out of it. I ran out of tequila, Chance. But... fucking Chance. Oh, Canadian. Alright, well that explains it. Actually, it's proof he might be. Powers used on me bounce back to the originator. I'm bouncy. I'm hoping I've had a lot of people vigging me during the course of the game. I told you all my active power. This was my passive. So if you want me to go, keep lynching. It's nice to know that you think I'm that clueless, though. We'll come back. We'll see what Stu says. You had the power. You had that power, and despite being suspected by a lot of people in the village, you didn't speak up. Why the fuck would you keep that a secret when there was no chance in hell the Mafia would target you? No wonder there were never any vigs on you. That might have cost the village a few lives. At least Virgil didn't. At least Virgil told us that Sears wouldn't work on him. So that comes into... well, the thing I wanted to see if Stu hit on was the fact that if Lorene did get hit, then she shouldn't have that passive gun protection anymore. So I don't think that that's necessarily in play unless they're one of those players that had access to more because they had something other than a villager role. So that's another thing that just gets you thinking about a character. More unknowns about a player who only on day 14 is starting to share more about what apparently was their whole power. Not their whole power, but their power all along for the whole game. And as a villager, do you really hold something like that, especially something that can cost lives, to yourself for that long? Day 15, asterisk. Day 14 Doom Report. Village Lynch, Prelate, Alex Summers, Age of Apocalypse, Lorene. No, we saw Scott before. That's what it was. Mafia Lynch, Spinal, Vanquished, Village, Mafia Lynch, Mr. Fix-It, Battle Realm, Stuart, Alchemax, Hit. I don't know what that means. Smooch, Vanquished, Village. No character. Demo Seer, Virgil, Lorene, Rocco. It's high noon in the Valley of Doom. For today only, every player has a gun. It will fire either a shot or a block. Shoot wisely. But then, actually, after some number crunching, Members Only Club wins based on the number of lives left and players recruited. So, Members Only Club, which was the Mafia for this game. Chance had 3 lives left. He was just recruited today. Long Odds, the originator, has 3 still. Inexplicably granted an extra character today by non-members only club. Don't know what that's about. Hopefully we find out. Rocco has 3 lives left. Kitty has 4 lives left. Blue has 2 and also gone for the fucking week. Inactives. Virgil had 1. 6 players with 16 lives remaining. The Illuminati Stuart had 2 lives left. So unable to continue at least to the goal, which wasn't specified. And then just the Village. Moses had 2 lives. Tim Dog had 1 life. Lorene had 2 lives. Lorene was Village, but did all that. And so it's just, I get trying to not be in the spotlight and not draw attention to yourself, but there are things that you, hindsight speaking, there are definitely things to share just so when things are found out, you don't look suspicious. And then there are plenty of things to not share too. Taste had 3 lives. Deadpool had 3 lives, and also fucking inactive. 5 players, 11 village lives left. So, fucking inactives, yeah. Alfrena, so Long Odds saying that they had pegged Stewart for Illuminati. The only thing that really bothers me about the game is that it wasn't really clear that the Thors and Member Only Club were the Mafia Lynchers. Obviously, it was clear that the Thors were when their lynch came up as such, but us not knowing the Members Only Club were lynching kind of annoys me. Agreed. I get calling one of the groups something else for flavor, obviously. But there does need to be some definitions in play. So even if it was in the rules that, bam, the Mafia are called this in this game, the Village is called this in this game. And that's arguable. I would say it's definitely more arguable that at least those 2 are defined, and then just leave the existence of other factions up to the discovery of the people. But this, I can see Stu's argument. In fact, I'm on that side. But even the Thor Club didn't know that theirs was going to come up Mafia. So clearly defining everything. Good, bad, good with a dash of bad, sideways, whatever. It should be clear in the results provided by the game runner what all happened and what's in play, at least there, because the results are probably the best source of information that we have, the best single source of information that we have for a lot of what the game has. Again, not a critique on anybody who has leaned heavier on the flavor side, but I can get frustration when looking at it from the other direction. And Ed submitted his power every day, but didn't post here. Fucking lame. 100% agreed. Just activity is wrong in every way possible. And other people, inactive, but at least not submitting. So I guess that's an argument for inactivity being enforced. And if a game runner doesn't want to do it, then could an alternate or an assistant or something like that, a co-runner, help keep track of those things? So the rest is a lot of discussion. It was a lot of players' first game back in a long time. A lot of people were complaining. A lot of people were talking about things that they liked. John came in and was fully open with his back and forth on things, including talking about how in general, he was saying things like, I didn't promise balance in this fucking clusterfuck. This was meant to be, hey, everyone, shoot and have fun. So I did real quick want to go back to this, where I said, old DJ's dead, guys. I don't like who he was either. Fully fucking sincere. Hell, I don't even go by that name. I chose a fucking James Franco character name that was weird as the board handle. Aw, tasty Deej. And then Kitty tries to make me relapse with, hey, I've been super nice to Jinon. True, he played along when I tried to, again, I don't want to say rebrand, but I came onto the board under the name Rilo as just I don't want to play as me, I just want to play. And he played along with that, helped out, asked something about, public, private, and stuff like that. He was playing along, so that was helpful. He also helped me get this board right so that I can make this damn video. Oh, this game is worth all the pain now. Easy. He did talk about my ass. Now, I wasn't talking about it like that. It was just saying I remembered a thing once, and that was all. See, Kelly saw. Noted, I'll do my best. If I forget, just nudge me. Old habits and all. So, again, hello. I'm going to point to this over here. We'll come back. We'll come back to the whole... I'm glad I'm earning something that I don't agree with, but that's a discussion for later. But again, it seems like, people's opinions that I valued, seems like I earned my right way. Hey, Thug Life, lose the T and get over here. Will do. In fact, fuck. Anytime. I still want to meet so many of you guys in real life. Anna's been over here before. She was driving through Arizona. I'm sorry, Anna. She was driving through Arizona on 10, and I was like, I fucking live right off 10. Come on in. So she came over here for about an hour one day. That was nice. I live in Tucson, work in Phoenix. If you guys are ever in Arizona, we can make it happen. I had no problem with any version of you. Thank you, Schimmel. That said, nails usually don't have problems with other nails, if you get my meaning. So that was the end of the game. I have some other notes. I'm going to read them off. Blow this damn thing up. So first off, well after this game ended, I ended up getting into YouTube a bit. No, I'm not still really. Yes, you are seeing this on a YouTube channel that I have been on recently, but I'm not trying to make it a thing anymore. But that said, I have become very comfortable with communicating this way. I can just talk and show, and you guys can listen. I don't have to fucking board all this shit and hope that tone gets through. So I actually don't mind doing more of these. Not necessarily going through old games and doing reviews and stuff, but just doing other things about Mafia. And the first thing that came to mind when I was going through all this was just... and I had so much commentary already in there that I just couldn't stop myself from about game design and the power and everything like that that went into the games that we have made and played before. So I don't mind if the next video, easier to make, is just me open forming about rules, roles, powers, going over all that kind of stuff using old power sets as sort of an example so that I can start to hit a lot of things and not miss a lot of the stuff that we may have lost to time with that other board. So I would love to go on for a full fucking hour just talking about the methodologies of games. And then if you guys end up making comments in the threads, I can make another video after that talking about all those things that you guys pointed out that I missed and thoughts on iterations of different things that way. So one of the things I wanted to mention is that just the rules for the game, those are a tough thing to get right. Sometimes they reveal too much information. Sometimes they're too long. There are also things that you want to leave alone, including how certain powers work with each other. That's something for you to determine and for people to find out, even though they may not get too many chances to find out how those interactions happen, even if they don't find out that it happened until the end of the game. Rules are tough. But they should not be copy-paste. If you want to have a list of 100 rules and then pick the ones that apply, bring them over and make sure to read through and adapt, that's fine. But if you're copying and pasting the rules and that really is all the applicable rules, then you really haven't made a new game. And so maybe you want to go back in and figure out something new to change things up. I could talk about the dilemma of staying alive for a long period of time or simply doing the best thing to get your team to win. And the differences between the players who get more fun by playing or more fun by winning, which matters to them more. Another thing I could talk about is picking specific people to have certain power sets. Now, I never did that. As far as I know, everything I did that was supposed to be open to chance was done on the website random.org. So I didn't want to do that. I felt like that was behaving incorrectly. And despite the fact that I remember having the desire to do that a lot of the time, specifically not wanting the more interesting power sets or the new power that I had done for that game to get onto a person that was traditionally inactive, because that was going to cause problems. Kelly, Kitty, that inside joke where you used Hot Dog 3 as some sort of code word to ultimately go through my honeymoon pictures, I wouldn't mind some context unless it involves actual hot dogs going into someone's actual 3-hole. Another video I can do is variants on the Mafia formula. It can possibly involve one where we do have even teams, and by definition that means that they would be known about from the start, and that it involved things that the individuals were doing on their own side, but that the things had to be public in the board to count. And so what that would give the other team is, if the game runner makes it clear that each team has this person and this person and this person, then each team would come up with their own priority list themselves, and then the game becomes trying to find out who those other people are on the other team. And if the runner does things right, then those lists can be vastly different. And so any effort spent trying to obfuscate who this certain role is might be for a waste, because they're not going after them, they're going after someone else. So that's just another video where I could go into a much longer form discussion on it, have a little bit of illustration or something to kind of show what it is that I'm talking about. And a benefit of doing it that way is that all players would be alive until the game is over. I was also thinking about the idea of discussing, and this is not meant as a slight to the Stache or anything like that, but if you just had all of the money and resources and know-how, if we wanted to design a board that was specifically designed for Mafia to be played on, and I don't even think that Scum is like that, because I've done a couple games on there and it's all just done with very basic permissions and stuff like that, but I'm talking big time, full on designed. So things like vote buttons. So the lynch is just hanging there on the side as you scroll down, and a live tally is there showing who's there. That level of integrated. Another thing where you'll have the board admin, whoever creates the site, but they can assign runners, and then the runners are going to get a bunch of extra rights. And so they can assign the people who are playing the game. And so things like what I talked about earlier, where a player is no longer being shown as online or offline, they're just going to be shown as playing all the time. I could just go on and do a real long form sort of brainstorm on what all would go into a board like that, because I think that doing a board like that would take a lot of the hassle out of the game running. So doing things like tracking and actives isn't really going to be much of a problem. And then there's another video that can go on about how the different kinds of players affecting Mafia as a whole, where you've got Kelly and the like on one end, where it's just, I just want to get my friends together and play, and that's where I derive my fun out of playing Mafia, is it's just a game I'm playing with my friends. And then you've got people on the far other end of the board who think that it's their and everybody else's responsibility to just fucking heat lamp bad cop the whole thing and act like that with everyone, and be the exact opposite, where I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to grill the fuck out of you until you answer all my questions to my satisfaction. And then you've got everybody else in between. There can absolutely be, or I don't even want to say that it's a two-sided spectrum. I think it would be more like one of those stat charts where you've got people who are just pointing out in all kinds of directions. It basically makes it to where you can't really have a perfect Mafia game for an individual until you get a massive pool and everybody kind of knows where they want to go when it comes to which games they play. But even then, I think that the only thing that a lot of the different spectrum people who are actually pointing out in some direction can agree on is that inactives suck. Quiet people suck, especially intentionally quiet ones, because that really does drive down a lot of what is supposed to make the game fun. Even if you did something like that hand picking I was talking about earlier, and when you are assigning roles as the game runner, even if you picked all of the quiet ones to be Mafia, that's not going to energize a bunch of them, and in fact you're going to put the Mafia at a detriment, any team at a detriment with the quiet ones. But it's not going to actually fix the problem. There are reasons why they are quiet, and in my opinion, if you are signing up for a game that requires you to be active on a daily basis and you can't do that for whatever reason, then you should not have signed up, and you are a detriment before signups are even completed to not only whatever team you end up on, but the game as a whole. Now, things come up, but if we start to get a larger group of people active again, where there are 100 people on the site, and at any given time there are 45 active people that want to jump into a game, 50 people or whatever, and we're still only running about 30 players in a game, then that means that there are enough people who want to follow along and are able to jump in when someone has to back out because something happened with their family, home, whatever. And lastly, where's that Veronica Mars game, Long Odds? You've had plenty of time, plenty of more Kristen Bell material. I've never even seen the damn show, but we've got something in common here. Let's get to it.